Prior to birth control and reliable abortion, each and every sexual contact that a woman had the potential to produce a child.
Wrote in from Atlanta and said, "Dear doctor, I recently had a one-night stand and I just found out that I'm pregnant. Am I obligated to tell the father? Please help."
I mean, they both have the same time investment here, right?
True.
She said it was just a one-night stand for both of them. She hasn't got any more time invested in this yet.
What if she keeps the child? Shouldn't she have to tell him he has a kid in the world?
What if he's a bad guy, though? What if you know he's not going to make a good father?
You should have thought about that before you climbed in the back seat of that Chevy.
That had major implications, not only individually for the individual woman, but for her family and for society in a much bigger sense. The society was really structured around families. They were structured around, and not nuclear families. The rise of the nuclear family really coincided with the rise of the Industrial Revolution.
Now, so I believe quite firmly that the nuclear family is the smallest viable human unit. Father, mother, child. Smallest viable unit. And if you fragment it below that, then you end up paying.
When people were moving away from their kin groups to go get jobs in factories, and then they could actually afford to live on their own because they didn't need to subsistence farm. They didn't need to, work together in these big family units. They could actually now begin to live with the nuclear family, which is the mother, the father, and the offspring of that family in one house. We haven't seen that prior to the rise of the Industrial Revolution. That is a very new phenomenon, the rise of the nuclear family. Prior to that, extended families all lived together, and it would be a series of clans that would make up a town. So each clan, you had a responsibility to your clan, to your kin group. And every baby that is born into that kin group can severely alter the demographics of that group. So the truth of the matter is that, yeah, women's reproductive activities were the business of the entire group. And this gave rise to cultural customs that monitored the purity of young women and girls in that culture. And because it impacted everybody. I mean, everybody was responsible for all of the children. And you've got to understand that every single sexual contact that a woman has, if it has the potential to lead to a pregnancy and an eventual child.
My name is Ava, I'm 16 years old, and I'm a mother of 2. The second time was the most traumatic thing in my life. I just sat and I bawled. Even when I was 9 months pregnant, they told me to get abortions. It was so bad.
I know what I am, and I know that I give my all to these kids every single day.
There is a much larger investment that a woman, a female, an adult human female.
And on it, let's see it again there, sorry. This is the definition of woman, defined as an adult human female. However...
Oh, well, there were complaints, though. Complaints that the poster was transphobic and led for it to be removed.
An adult human female.
I just lead a normal life, so why is that troublesome for you?
Why can't you do that still as a man?
No, but why is it your business?
Because it affects women in law and the way we live. It absolutely does.
It doesn't affect anyone.
Of course it does.
How does it affect us?
So, for example, if I was arrested today by a police officer who still had a penis but said he was a woman, he's allowed to intimately search me. Now, the reason he's allowed to intimately search me is because a transgender police officer who said he was a woman took the police to court to have that right, because he said it was discriminatory for him not to be able to.
But if he believes he's a woman, you're saying that doesn't make him a woman.
That's saying I have to indulge in that belief also, and I don't.
A mature female makes than what a man makes when a child is conceived. So a woman is the ecosystem for the fetus. Everything that she's eating, her body is literally being leached. A woman's body will produce 4 children at the expense of women. So babies will literally, if a woman doesn't have enough calcium in her diet, the fetus will leach it, which is why a lot of women leave pregnancy with decaying teeth and thinning bones. Women in poverty-stricken areas will still continue to lactate. And you see it in famine areas where women will be skin and bones and they are still lactating and they are still producing calories, and their body is leaching from itself to continue to produce milk for their nursling. For a period of, honestly, I'd say minimum 3-4 years, she's simply not able to be at her highest level of productivity for at least 4 to 5 years. And so that's why really the marriage contract was developed. The marriage is really to protect 2 things. It's to protect the woman and the child, to make sure that she's not abandoned by a partner and a mate, and that she does not become now like the responsibility of her family now to take care of this woman and child, the woman who's really incapacitated to be a provider. Because again, another technology, we've got to remember how technology impacts things. Artificial feeding.
A dream come true after all the months of waiting. Your baby, all yours. So tiny, so helpless, so dependent on you. To feel happy and secure, your baby needs you and the love you give him. To be healthy, he needs the right kind of milk. Pet milk is processed to make it especially suitable for babies. Your own doctor can tell you there is no better, safer choice than pet evaporated milk. More babies are being raised on pet milk formulas than on any other brand.
Like artificial milk is what allows a lot of new mothers to go back to work. That was not the case. Yeah, the very upper echelon rich women had wet nurses, but that is not your common woman's scenario. And the world breastfeeding average, so we were to take away all artificial feeding, the world weaning average. So if we removed all artificial feeding and children were able to self-wean at their own natural pace, is about the age of 4, okay? You introduce solid foods at about 1 year old, but there's still intermittent breastfeeding. So certainly for the first 2 years, a mom is primarily breastfeeding. And prior to pumping machines and artificial milks, a woman could not be away from her neonate for a very long time at all. So her productive value beyond taking care of the child was not high. So that's why we created the marriage contract, to make sure that women were protected, that they weren't just impregnated and abandoned. Okay, so that a man enters into a contract, and it was really a contract between families. This family is coming in saying, listen, a woman has value. She's a value and liability. She has value in that with the right person at the right time, she can create a child that, at front takes up resources, but that can eventually be an investment and become a valuable investment as the next generation, of labor, of somebody to take on and care for the family. So marriage was really a contract between the 2 families, the 2 kinships, that listen, these 2 people are going to marry, they are going to procreate at the exclusion of all other people, for this woman who is going to provide for the child. So the man will provide materialistically while the woman is really tethered to the home for the duration of the time that the babies are young. And infant mortality rates were very high. So people were just having lots of babies and hoping at least a few of them make it. That's why they used to celebrate the first 100 days. Women's reproductive abilities were very, very, very high liability, because we didn't there wasn't safe and reliable abortion, every sexual contact could result in a pregnancy. So obviously you can understand why parents and the family were very overprotective of their women.
In America, there's a new women's movement attracting thousands of young girls.
I'm Kaylin, I'm 8, and I'm going to the beauty ball tonight.
To an old-fashioned view.
Oh, we long for men to be men. We are desperate for manly men to lead in a way that is healthy and honoring to women.
It's all about chastity, obedience.
I believe we women were created to need the strength of the man.
And purity.
We are too valuable to simply give ourselves away to young men who would not treat us with great respect, honor, and worth.
They're girls. They're young girls, especially they're sexually maturing girls who are full of hormones, and they're interested in men, and their prefrontal neocortex is not fully developed, so they're not making decisions that are coherent or conscious. They're making decisions based off of their hormones and their sex drive.
I'm going to bed. We take each other in the arm and we talk about what the week was like, and then we'd rock back and forth like this. We kiss, and the temptations are usually very high when the lights are out and you're in bed with your girl that you love or care for, and so often you see the underwear get discarded. And a lot of Amish couples don't get caught at this until after they're married, and then they confess in church for not keeping their night counted the way it should be. But there is a problem within the Swartz Trooper Amish of their dating practices. It's something they're not very proud of, and they don't like anybody to know about it. This is the next method. Usually gets used in Tennessee or Kentucky and places like that. The same thing. I come in and ask her. I go upstairs to her bedroom and ask her, and then we go down in the living room and we date down there. I would sit on the bottom of the rocker, and she'd sit on top, and then we turn around and we rock. We talk about how our week was and stuff like that. And then we kiss, and that's another form of dating within the Swartz Trooper Amish. But again, having your girl sitting on your lap like that, the lights are out. Yeah, you're in the living room or in the kitchen usually, rather in the kitchen. Things do happen. But
that's why parents became super strict on girls in ways that they weren't with their sons, because a girl could wind up pregnant, not even know by who, or she could either be lured away and seduced by some like rogue man, or God forbid she's raped. And like I said, we didn't have reliable abortion or birth control, and we certainly didn't have adoption options. Sometimes another family member could take the baby, but still this then became, you know, a baby in that family kinship that family had to take care of. It was a burden. You know, when you don't have a man who can provide materialistically, and you don't have a woman who can provide materialistically because she's tethered to the baby, because she has to breastfeed, she has to give of her body to that baby, everybody else in the family has to step up and do it. That's where you come to these intense monitoring of women. And that's why women's fashion evolved. All of our fashion evolved around our sex, okay? It evolved either to downplay our sex, to make us appear more modest and less sexually revealing.
Leaving women to draw their khimars over their persons. so that's the head cover. And then there is a mention of jilbab, and in the plural jalabib. Jilbab is a large outer garment like a cloak. Some call it abaya, but the term used in the Quran is jilbab. And this may be a cloak that a woman wears over and above her house dress. So at home, she has a simple dress that makes it easy for her to get around and do her stuff at home. But then she's going out, she wants to be dressed in a little bit more in a formal attire, in a more decent one for the public, and so she wears this outer cloak. This is called a jilbab. This is mentioned in Surah 30.
Or as we get more towards these technologies that allowed us to control our reproduction and allowed us to control our fertility, then we, wanted things to attract men.
Now try this new way to accent your figure. Cross your heart, see? You're suddenly shapelier. Well, that's what this new Playtex Fashion Magic cotton bra does. It crosses your heart with stretch to lift and separate. You're suddenly shapelier. This cross your heart shaping is only on Playtex regular Fashion Magic bras and new long line styles. Cross your heart. You'll be shapelier, honestly. And here's news about girdles.
Announcing a comfortable way to look 5 pounds thinner. The new 5 pounds thinner girdle by Playtex. Prove it yourself. Fingertips so. Press in. See? The new Playtex girdle has fingertip panels to hold you in firmly. Yet it's so different. Feels like nothing you've ever felt before. Look 5 pounds thinner without losing a pound. In the new 5 pounds thinner girdle.
The brassiere. I don't wear bras, okay? Like, the brassiere, though, was always to, really isn't good for you. It cuts off your lymph nodes. Stop. First of all, let me pause for a second. Any women who are listening to this, adult human females, or even, younger teenagers, whoever, stop wearing underwire now, okay? Your body has a complex system of lymph nodes that have to be able to drain fluids between parts of the bodies. When you're wearing these fucking underwire, and it's not your fault that you've been sold all of this bullshit, but it is so bad for you. We don't need them, okay? And actually, you think, oh, but I don't want my, my breasts to sag and things like that. No, actually, wearing bras, because a lot of toxins get trapped and because the lymph nodes can't properly drain, actually accelerates aging in the collagen and in the skin of the breast and causes it to sag and to droop more quickly than if you don't wear a bra. Just stop wearing bras altogether. I mean, except for maybe like a sports bra if you have especially larger breasts or whatever, but Stop with the underwire. It's not good for you. These brassieres are meant to be attractive to men. They were really meant to push your breasts up, to create cleavage, and to be attractive to men. It's the opposite of why cultures would breast iron. Again, to make women less attractive so that they weren't prone to be getting married off, so that they could maybe focus on education just for a little while longer. So much of our roles, and again, why did the house and domestic work become the domain of women? Because like I said, prior to the 50s and 60s were artificial feeding revolution. Prior to that, women were really tethered to the home because they were breastfeeding, because they were having larger families, so they were home, they were taking care of children. That's why men were working out of the home. And it was okay, so we came with this home economics. Women are creating value that's unpaid labor by cleaning, that's why, things like cleaning products were always marketed to women. The new mop. My husband just got me a new mop. I'm definitely going to be feeling frisky tonight. Shit like that. So why are trans identified males, trans women, are they women? Do they really inherit the oppression of women?
But as a transgender woman, do you get your period? ?
But the answer is no, we do not get periods. You know, blood flow does not come out of our vagina. No, 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 nothing like that happens to us because we kind of have like an inversion. We don't really have like deep, like, you know, we don't have a uterus, you know, we can't give birth, okay? And that sucks a lot. So there's your answer, Jess Hannah. Unfortunately, we do not get periods. And some girls kind of envy the fact that we don't get periods, like we don't feel the pain. And there's some girls who are like,
you're not a real woman because you don't know what it's like to get periods every single month. So,
And I'm like, okay, bitch, listen, okay? If I could get my monthly gift every month, okay, I totally would want to. Okay, I want to know, I want to experience womanhood. I want to experience everything that has to come with it, okay? I want to give birth. I want to feel the pain. I want cramps. Give it to me. I want it all. Okay.
I totally accepted the fact that I don't get a period, but it's discouraging to me when people know that I'm trans and then they come up to me and they're like, you know, and it's usually when they're on their period, they're like, you know, you're so lucky because you don't get to have periods. And I was like, oh, am I? Because literally I would trade the fucking 4 days of the month that you go through intense mental, emotional, and physical pain for the lifetime trauma of being a trans person in America. But thanks. Someone wants to know if I like K-pop. Yes, I love K-pop.
No. Point blank period. No. So, trans women are not experiencing the same type of oppression, sex-based oppression that women always have. They don't have the same sex-based experiences. So we've created a term called woman, and it is meant to describe adult human females. We've just created a term called girl, and it is meant to describe minor female human beings, okay? These are our terms, and they help delineate a group of people with a shared experience, shared characteristics, and shared biology, shared history. Men, males of any kind cannot ever relate to those shared experiences of females. We can relate in other ways as human beings, but never as females. A male will never experience femaleness. He can never experience femaleness. You can take the word woman all you want and run away with it, but that does not erase the reality that you are not experiencing or inheriting this full history of oppression, of sex-based experiences, of health, medical, biological needs that we have. I am a woman who I have 4 children. On April 7th, 2021, I was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma of the anus. And I spent all summer going through pelvic radiation, external beam therapy, aka, radiation and chemotherapy. At 33, I lost my fertility and I lost my ovarian functioning, and I went into iatrogenic premature menopause. So I have gone through several different thresholds as a female that only other females can ever experience and relate to. I've gone through all 3 of the female puberties. And yes, there are 3. There's one during the prenatal period that happens at around, like 20 weeks, something like that. There's another that happens around 6 months 6 months postnatal during infancy. These are times when we have high levels of sex hormones that are released throughout our body, and they prime our brain, they prime our body, and they help develop our genitals. Okay? There is not only one puberty. It is so important. So when we talk about, these puberty blockers and it's going to keep a clean slate. No, by the time you get to puberty blockers, those kids have already been through 2 puberties. And the first puberty, especially for males, is actually has higher levels of testosterone than later puberty, of the 3rd puberty. So As a female, I've crossed through multiple female thresholds. I've crossed through puberty 1, 2, and 3. I've crossed over the threshold of pregnancy, childbirth, and breastfeeding, all of which involve an intricate hormonal interplay that primes my brain in ways that males won't ever experience, okay? Every time I breastfeed, my body releases prolactin and oxytocin, okay? During, I had natural childbirth. I gave birth at home. So my brain was fully primed by my natural orchestra of innate hormones, birth hormones. That's why the maternal brain is wired differently. And it is to help us bond with our babies so that we can become vigilant and diligent by them. So that we can lactate. So that we will kill anybody who tries to fuck with one of our children. Just like any mother who can see this gender ideology for what it really is. Just like the mother at We Spa who stepped up and said, my 9-year-old daughter is not going to sit in here and I'm not going to sit by while an intact male walks in due to self-ID laws, disrobes in front of my child at We Spa, and I'm not going to sit by and act like that's okay. And thank God that this mom has not been trained out of listening to her internal alarm.
We Spa, so it's okay. I just want to be clear with you. It's okay for a man to go into the women's section, show his penis around the other women, young little girls underage. Your spa, We Spa, condone that. Is that what you're saying? Like I asked. It's so he can stay there. And he is a man. He is not no female. He is not a female. Okay? Girls down there, other women who are highly offended for what they just saw. And you did nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, you sided with him. So We Spa is in agreement with men that just say they are a woman and they can go down there with their penis and get into the women's section. Yeah, give her money back.
Are you talking about a transgender person?
There's no such thing as transgender. He has a dick. Okay? He has a penis. His penis is hanging out. Okay, no, I'm not one. Actually, I'm a woman who knows how to stand up and speak up for my right. As a woman, I have a right to feel comfortable without a man exposing himself, okay?
The woman who posted the video also posted about the planned protest of the spa for Saturday morning. Counter-protesters arrived earlier. SoCal Antifa tweeted its support and called for people to show up over a bullhorn that the crowd is on its way to hell. Several people in black attacked the man as others pulled them off him, demanding that he leave. Down the street, we found another man bleeding. Witnesses say he was hit in the head with a skateboard.
I don't mind fucking leave there. I just don't want to see their penis. I don't give a fuck, bitch. Get out of here. Get your bullshit ass out of here, bitch.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
Nobody gets out. You can walk away. Get the fuck out. I'm not leaving until I get my Go home,
her instincts, her maternal instincts that her brain was primed for, this beautiful process that is developed over millions of years that prime our brains to be mothers and defend our children. That she stood up and said, get this male the hell out of here. And they told her every bigot, evil, racist, homophobic, transphobic thing in the book comes 6 months later.
We have an update now on an incident inside a Los Angeles spa that sparked violent protests in June. Someone accused a transgender person of indecent exposure at the We Spa on Wilshire. Well, now police say that person has a history of such incidents. 52-year-old Darren Morager has been arrested and charged with 5 felony counts of indecent exposure. According to the LAPD, Morager has been a registered sex offender since 2006.
He's a fucking sex predator. And she listened to her internal alarm. And we are trying to shame mothers out of that. One thing I'll tell you that's stronger than any ideology is a maternal instinct. I wish you would come after one of my children, because I will come after you twice as hard. Thank God for the mothers who understand what this is and who are tired of it, and we're speaking up, and we're going to protect our kids, and we're going to protect the kids of the community, because that's what a mother does. She speaks up for the kids of the community because they belong to all of us, because traditionally we've always taken care of all of our children together. I don't care whose they are. So to answer the original question, what is a woman? A woman is an adult human female. What is a girl? A girl is a minor human female. Language matters.